Hi and welcome back. So this is about these guys, Van Gogh colors. Lately I've been using these. A couple of videos ago I did a review and a test of this, which is the muted set. It's those little pocket set you can get Van Gogh watercolors in. And I was very taken with this, and I have had this for a long time, or quite a while, and I quite like that as well. That was why I dared buy this. Royal Talens has really been working on their watercolors the past year or so. I got a whole tin full, nearly, of Rembrandt watercolors, which is the professional line. Van Gogh is their student line. Down here is my core watercolors, so ignore those for now at least. So I got these quite a long time ago, and I really quite like the Royal Talens watercolors in general, and the Rembrandt also. And the only thing I had with Rembrandts was every time I kind of discovered a new interesting pigment, they in general didn't have it. They had some quinacridone colors in here, not very many. There were some, but overall, some of all the pigments that I had interest in was by and large not in their collection. There's some other good things to say about them, like the earth tones are the real pigments instead of mixtures by and large. And yeah, they work fine, and they had a huge range and stuff. But for instance, I couldn't find a Dusk Violet, and yeah, different other pigments. So so I haven't been building on this palette since I bought it, and I got a lot of them. I got, yeah, nearly 36. There's some of them that are duplicates here because I have had pans that I've used in some other sets and stuff, but I got 30 some odd colors. So my thought about Royal Talens paints has been that they were a little bit old-fashioned, maybe. They're good but old-fashioned, but they really stepped up the game, so they've added lots of new colors and things to their line. Both the Rembrandt, but also the Van Gogh. I believe the Van Gogh line was, they added 20 new colors or so, and a couple of those are in this tin actually. I know that the titanium buff is one of them, and I believe the Davies Grey and maybe the neutral tint. I think those three are the new colors. Not entirely sure that is all. I haven't looked too closely at it before. But these four are amongst the new ones, and they are all called Dusk something. This is called Dusk Yellow, Dusk Green, Dusk Violet, and Dusk Pink. And what they are is they are some kind of normal pigments that they have mixed with a black. The black pigment number is PBK 11, and that's called oxide black. You can actually buy that as a pigment, as a watercolor in the line. I didn't buy that, and I don't know why. There was an offer that you would get a rebate if you bought 5, so to get 5 I added a pearl orange because I wanted an orange in my set, and I was quite sure I didn't have that one in here. So let's just open it up. Anyways, the pigments that are mixed with this is a PY 128. I don't know this pigment. I know the next number in the series is 129, which is green gold. At least when it's sold by Core, it's sold under different names. But green gold is quite a used name. It has pigment number PY 129, and this will become relevant in a bit. The green is mixed with phthalo green PG7, kind of a quite normal pigment, used lots. It's often sold as viridian or emerald. It's a bluish green, and it's now mixed with this black. Then there's the Dusk Violet, that is Dark Scene Violet PV23 mixed with black. And Dusk Pink is Quinacridone Rose PV19, that is mixed with that black. This one we'll just put to one side. I might swatch it later, but it's just an addition to my palette. So the black they used in here is quite granulating, and and they're quite dark, and they if you put them on the right type of paper, you can really see this granulation very much, and it separates as well. So it's kind of interesting, and I was curious about these colors, and so I went and got them. And I guess it's time to pull out the next things. Some paper. This is just some very cheap, very heavily sized and somewhat textured paper. I'll put the tubes over to one side, and these we'll save for later. Put them to one side, and then I got this huge palette. It's actually a palette for acrylic paint, but I use it for watercolors. And I got all kinds of things in here, and I don't really want to go through everything, but it's my pretty much everything palette. You don't see it on the channel much because it is humongous. It is bigger than an A4 page, and I don't have a lot of workspace, especially under the camera. But I squeezed out the paints here. The yellow, the green, the violet, and the pink, and the orange. And they've dried now. It's several hours since I squeezed them out. And I have been playing with them a little bit, but I want to do it on camera. My first video was just kind of a little everywhere and everything, and unplanned, and not good. So let me, the black pigment I found out needs a little time to reactivate, so it's not my usual custom to pre-wet my paints, but let me just do it now. Let's try this pearl orange just for the sake of swatching it. It's a nice reddish orange, and I just want some secondaries on my palette. That is single pigment if I can, because sometimes it's just easier to have the secondaries than having to all the time mix them. And oranges can sometimes actually be a little bit tricky to mix from red and yellow. So I just wanted one on my palette here. And it's a pearl orange, which is a quite nice pigment. It's a good mixing color. Anyways, enough chit chat, let's get painting. So this color is called yellow, but it doesn't seem yellow. At first when you put it on, it got a black mass tone. It's a grayish yellow with a very, very clear green tint to it. Especially when it's wet, it seems very, very green. It dries up more yellow, but that's how it looks on its own. So let's try the dusk green. Again, black mass tone. And the black is very dominant in this color. It reminds me of a Parling green, to be honest, but a very nice green, and you can maybe already see how the black pigments are settling into the paper already. So let's try the violet here. Again, black mass tone. It's a very dark color, but it is also dioxazine violet mixed with black, so I'm not surprised that it is as dark as it is. But mixed with the black, it gets a kind of a grayish undertone. And this makes me think of Daniel Smith's Amethyst Hematite color. It has kind of almost the same color as that. Now for the pink, that's based on quinacridone rose. It is not as bright as the rose is on its own, but it's a nice, has a kind of a mauve, purple, violet color to it, and it's very dark in its mass tone. It's nearly black. So those are the four colors on their own. And seeing this, I was really thinking about the green gold from Daniel Smith, nonsense, from Core that I got. I showed you the tube. And the granulation of the black made me think of, and here comes the Daniel Smith, the Hematite Genuine from Primatech, from Daniel Smith. And I got a 5 ml tube of that. I have you can get a 6 set of Primatech colors, and I got that, and that's one of the tubes from there. So I was thinking, okay, so what if I mixed the two of those? And the other pigments in here, the phthalo green I got from Rembrandt. That's a phthalo green there. And I have dioxazine purple from Core, and the PB19 I got from my Mary Blue as primary magenta. So I got 5 colors there, and I'm kind of curious, can I make something that looks somewhat like that with the pigments I already got? Cool thought to have after you bought the paint, right? So I have here up on my palette, I'll try and turn it. So that big blob here is that hematite, and I had a problem with that, and it spilled out a lot of binder when I squeezed it out. So most of that is binder and not so much pigment. I got some pigment out and I mixed it, but I don't know if you've ever had paint split in a tube. If you have too much binder, it gets kind of sticky. I might have to squeeze some more out here in a bit. Good. So here we got Hematite Black. And right next to it is actually the green gold, the 129, but it is close in color to the 128 by the looks of it. So let's try and mix them together. This is more bright than the Van Gogh color, but it has pretty much the same quality to it. This is more yellow than actually that one. So the black is kind of eluding me a little bit. There. It looks very close to looking the same. So let's grab some more black here. really hard to get. It's just a goopy mess here. The pigment wants to stick in my brush. So here's the phthalo green. I can see it's slightly off camera. Just have to trust me. This phthalo green is maybe a little brighter than the one from the Van Gogh line. But again, it can create kind of the same effect with this mixture. My mixture is not as dark because I don't have so much pigment. And again, come on. That's just binder on that. This. I'm gonna try and get myself another there we go. That helped. Fresh paint. And then I know that this Dusk Violet a little goes an extremely long way. It's core. Very dark, but see, when I thin it out, we get kind of the same kind of color as up there. So yeah, this far it's a pretty good copycat job I'm doing here. Here's some more black. And some. Now this quinacridone PB19 comes in different shades, even though it got the same pigment number. And this one is maybe a little more red than the one they have used in the other color, but close enough, close enough. Now the paper I'm using really promotes separation and granulation because it's very heavily sized, so the paint doesn't sink into the paper, it just sits on the surface, and because it sits there it also dries slow, and if you add enough water it has plenty of time to sediment into the texture of the paper and separate from the other pigments, so you get maximum effect on this kind of paper. But yeah, you can copy it. Now the hematite from Daniel Smith is a little bit on the steep side, but as I said before, you can get the black that they have actually used in these paints. You can buy that as pure pigment in a tube like this, and mango tubes does not cost anywhere the same as Daniel Smith. I just used the hematite because that was the granulating black I have. And this is not to degrade anything, it is just, I was just curious if I could reproduce the color myself, and pretty much, yeah, I could. I got other versions of PV19, so I might have one that is actually more bluish than what I got. So let's try and mix them with each other. So here's the Dusk Yellow, but again very green. I'm curious to see how it mixes with the violet that is based on dioxazine purple. Together they turn black. Let's try and pull them out and see. It actually gives a gray, which means that it is green enough to be contrast color to violet. The violet seems to dominate. And I can see that I need to put out a new gloop of my pink, because the violet bled into it. So we want the pink on its own. So let's take some more of that yellow. I can really feel that the black pigment is heavier and more sluggish than the other pigments, because the other pigments comes up on your brush much more readily. So now we got fresh paint. Now is, see, that goes really dark too. This is the pink I now mixed. It gives a different shade of gray. Now what if we don't mix it so hard? Just kind of let it flow together. If it would give anything that looks like an orange. I doubt it because it is so green. Let's continue the yellow and the green. This should not be a problem because they're both greenish, so it should just give us a third color of green. And it does, it just kind of calms down the bluish green. It turns into kind of an olive green-ish type of thing. Let's see if I can lift my camera up a little bit here. Try and drop just some of the yellow in there. They seem to be the most interesting if you don't mix them too much, and just let them do their own thing. So green. On the violet. Green and violet usually gives very interesting results on their own. They can give kind of a dusky blue And if you're careful, you can do that with this too. Just try and kind of drop them together. So green and pink next. They're not your run-of-the-mill type of watercolors, so anybody can of course buy them, but I think if you're just learning to paint, you might find this a little tricky. Don't have them as your only colors, that's for sure. But very, very interesting, and especially if you're into abstract or loose painting with wet and wet techniques, this is definitely for you guys. This tends to lean more towards black because that is a greenish yellow, yellowish green. No, it's a bluish green. I'm confused. Yeah, it goes dark anyways. And what do we have? We have now the violet and the pink. That should just give some different shades of violet. And it does. A little more reddish. Looks like a Russia test. So very, very interesting paints. Now this paper really, as I said, promotes these things. If I had used a more absorbent paper and with less texture, the granulation and separation would be less obvious. So the paper really much plays in here. One would wonder why only these 4 colors. Well, first of all, you can, as I said, buy the black on its own. The other thing is they got already some black mixes in their line. I don't have all of them, but I have some. There is Payne's Gray, for instance, which is a blackish blue. Now it doesn't granulate to the same degree. I believe their umber is also a black mix. Not very much though. There towards. I forgot where this is. This thing. This is burnt sienna. Yeah, that's a burnt sienna. That is not one of them. But we got here we got indigo, which is always mixed with black, on nearly always. But we got a blackish blue there too. And here we got neutral tint. That is almost purple in its color, and it has been mixed with some purple pigment in there. That's Davis Gray. This is a kind of a dusty green, but it is mixed with black as well. It's kind of pale compared to the others. And then here's the sepia, which is also a black mix. So we got that brown mix there. But if you buy the tube of black, you can mix in whatever you like. We could actually try and, now we don't have it, but we got the hematite from Daniel Smith. We could try and put the orange in here. Let's give us kind of a dirty brown type of thing. not as attractive as those. I'm quite sure they have tried this black with pretty much everything and picked the most interesting ones out. So yeah, I'd like to try it with a sienna maybe. Yeah, it turns into what looks like an umber type of color. So yeah, that is something we could play with all night and continue forever because the options are endless. They dry in interesting ways. Now you can see that the yellowish green really, the dusk yellow really shines through here, becomes more yellow as it dries. You can also see it up there. The yellow is more apparent when it's dry than when it's wet. When you pick it up first of wet, you go, oh my god, this is not yellow, this is green, but it dries into a pale yellow. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to use these. They kind of call for some wet and wet techniques, and I think I might end up using them alongside some of the Primatech colors because there's several of those that are granulating in different ways. I'm not sorry I bought them. It's the paints are not very expensive, but I find them very interesting. And I haven't planned a painting for this session, but I will absolutely try them in a painting very soon. Maybe already tomorrow because I got no plans for tomorrow. It's just another Saturday. And we're going nowhere. So thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe and come back. I'll be doing some painting next. Bye.